I was 15 the first time a cop pulled a gun on me. Still, I wouldn't trade my past for anyone else's. My name is Ricky Taylor. I'm from Chester, Pennsylvania. I wear a lot of hats these days. Father, mentor, teacher, poet, author, activist. This wasn't always the case, though. My story starts on 20th Street on the east side of Chester, often running around on East 21st and 22nd Streets. Like most Chester natives, I was raised by my grandmother. When I was 10, my mother moved us across town to the Highland Garden section of Chester, which at the time was regarded as the most dangerous neighborhood in the city. It was here as a preteen that I would gravitate toward the streets. Like most of us, I come from a single-parent household, no father figure, and my mother was often attending to her vices. With that said, I found the family that I craved at home in the streets. By 16, I was the complete opposite of everything I listed in the beginning. I was a criminal, drug dealer, but worst of all, I was lost. I had no expectations to live past the age 18. This changed when I met a man named Corey Long, known to the world as DJ Coriac. He had a music and mentoring program called Team Making a Change, and at the time I was an aspiring rapper, and so it was a perfect fit. Corey was the first black man I met who had, what I considered legal money, cars, property, a wife, and family, and he was from Chester. He represented to me the possibility, the potential of what I might be. It took a long time, a lot of bad choices, close calls with the law and the coroner, but eventually I got my act together. I couldn't tell any story about me without mentioning him. By 23, I became a parent. My daughter, April Marie Taylor, is the best thing that ever happened to me. If I weren't a father, you wouldn't even be hearing this story. There was a dark time in my life where I contemplated and almost succeeded at suicide. And right before I made that fatal mistake, I looked in the mirror and I saw her picture on it. And I couldn't bring myself to leave a fatherless child in the world. I couldn't allow her to feel what I felt growing up. And it was at this moment that I realized just how much my life was worth. 10 years after I met Corey, I found myself in charge of the same program that saved my life. I was now in the same position he was, and I didn't realize it, but I was saving lives the same way he saved mine. Now here I am at 29, and I still don't believe it sometimes. How did I go from Price Street to ABC Action News slots? How did I end up leading anti-violence rallies and feeding the homeless in the same streets I committed acts of violence and took from people? God's grace and mercy is my only answer. What makes Chester home is my luxury of wearing all of these same hats in the same environment. I've had a lot of people over the years try to put me in a box. They say you have to pick a lane, but when you grow up in Chester, you understand that life isn't an A to B trip. You will swerve, stumble, fall, maybe even crash. However, my pride, that C pride handed down from my grandmother, will never allow me to stay down. One thing I love about my city is the generational pride. It doesn't matter if you're 7 or 87, you're proud to be from Chester. Even with all the negative press, the stigmas about the school system, crime, economic shortcomings, the people of Chester will always be proud of ourselves. And that's because we know the truth. The truth beyond the numbers. Those unsung heroes and pioneers that work day in and day out in our communities to make it safer, to provide a chance at a better future than today. Like the entrepreneur with 5 or 6 figures in the bank and an email full of selfish opportunities that they decline because they want to serve this city. Or the struggling single mother that spends her weekends feeding and clothing the less fortunate while putting herself through college because she's setting a standard for her daughter. Or maybe the single father who survived the streets, depression, and trauma, who now uses poetry and writes books to share his truth in hopes to inspire a child who feels like the world has abandoned him. The man that just wants to prove to his daughter that he's worth her love. If you're listening to this, understand something. It's never too late to make a change in your life. One bad chapter does not mean it's a bad book. And when all else fails, and you see no way out of the darkness, just give it one more day. My name is Ricky Taylor. I'm from Chester, Pennsylvania.